in the center of attention is a fundraising for wounded soldiers. Usually we start with a topic or some kind of issue that we usually talk and we bring it to the center of attention. But sometimes we also talk about organizations or individuals or some particular specific issue that is happening either in Armenia or here at the diocese. And today I'm happy to introduce two individuals that are involved in a very noble mission. I would say it's a fundraising for a wounded Armenian soldier from the recent war that happened in Armenia. And these two individuals are Mr. Mher Sharyan. He's the Parish Council Chair of St. Kevork Armenian Church of Portland, and Mr. Antranig Kasbarian from Tufenkian Foundation. He's a trustee and the director of development. Gentlemen, thank you for coming to the show. Appreciate your time. And first, I would like to ask you introduce yourselves. Mher, not too many people know here in Los Angeles that we have a church in Portland as well, Armenian church. A very vibrant community there, very busy. And one of the examples of that is the community being involved in this mission and the fundraising. So please introduce yourself and tell us a little about the church in Portland.
Thank you, Vajan, for the introduction. My name is Mher Sharyan. I've lived in the community in Portland since 1998. Our church was founded in 2009. I've been involved ever since. I'm currently the Parish Council Chairman. We have about 250, 300 families in the Portland metro area, including Southwest Washington. And being such a small community, it's very important to have a church, to have a community, to be able to join causes like this in a unified and organized fashion. So we try to do everything we can to not only keep and sustain our church for the future of our language, heritage, our Christianity. The church centers around it. We're an all-volunteer team. Everybody volunteers in our church. Again, being such a small community, you need everybody to chip in. And few months ago, we met Antranig from the Tufenkian Foundation. The Tufenkians have a rug store in Portland, and they're always supportive. Their kids come to, or maybe grandkids, come to our Armenian school at church. So we met Antranig, and he told us about some of the wonderful things they're doing in Armenia as a nonprofit. They've got multiple projects, which Antranig will tell you about. And we decided to join in and help with one of the projects, which is a Wounded Soldier project, where, again, Antranig will give some more information, but we try to help soldiers build or rebuild their houses to have better living conditions, especially the ones that have been injured and have injuries that they have to deal with long term. That's what we do here. Thank you again, for the chance to discuss this topic.
Absolutely. And Antranig, what about your part? Most of the diaspora and people in Armenia associate Tufenkian with Tufenkian carpets. I'm not sure if the foundation is affiliated with the carpets. I would assume so. So please tell us about Tufenkian Foundation, what you do there.
Well, very briefly, thank you first for this opportunity. Briefly, the Tufenkian Foundation is the brainchild of James Tufenkian, who is a noted entrepreneur dealing mainly with carpet design and manufacture, and more recently with tourism and hospitality, with a series of boutique hotels throughout Armenia. James actually grew up in Oregon, in Salem, and as Mher mentioned, has one of his Tufenkian carpet outlets showrooms is based in Portland. So he has deep roots in this community, and many members of his family still live here in the greater Portland area. James began manufacturing carpets in the mid-'80s and immediately saw success, both in design and in manufacturing high-end hand-knotted carpets based in Asia, mainly starting with Tibetan motifs, Tibetan carpets manufactured in Nepal. And eventually, Tufenkian Carpets grew to an international company at the high end of home furnishings, the home furnishing industry. And once James became successful, he immediately thought about giving back, especially giving back to his homeland, Armenia. And in the 90s, he began by venturing to Armenia and establishing small carpet weaving facilities throughout the country, primarily in rural, remote areas. And by the end of the 90s, was employing hundreds of people, mainly women, who had been seen as unemployable. So he really created a minor job engine by reviving the carpet weaving industry in Armenia. So that in itself had major socioeconomic effects, positive effects on the country. But by the late 90s, he was dissatisfied and was looking for more direct interventions into Armenian society. So he established a nonprofit foundation, the Tufenkian Foundation, that directly provides charitable assistance to Armenia and to Artsakh. He began the foundation in 1999, focusing on social protection and civil society initiatives in Armenia. And we began the Artsakh program in 2003 when I came aboard after completing my doctoral work, where my focus had been Artsakh, but more of an academic focus. So I came over to the foundation in 2003, and after 6 months of preparation and pilot programs, we established an office and a program in Stepanakert, capital of Artsakh. And for roughly 20 years now, we've been working in Artsakh. For a long time, our focus was the borderlands, the liberated territories, particularly Kashatak, the Lachin corridor area extended. And our focus was resettlement, not only building and renovating houses, but providing healthcare infrastructure, schools, drinking water, and small-scale economic development opportunities to help the population stick to those areas, live, and hopefully prosper in those lands. Unfortunately, with the 2020 war, most of Artsakh's strategic border areas have been lost. At this point, we have the narrow strip of the Lachin corridor that serves as a connector, a tenuous connector between Armenia and Artsakh. But much of the surrounding territories have been lost. So the Tufenkian Foundation has, the last year and a half since the war, has been focusing mainly on basic needs. Immediately after the war, really basic needs. We were providing power generators for areas that were without electricity, especially bombed out areas like Marduni. The Marduni region was probably the hardest hit region of Artsakh during the war. So power generators, seed stock, fertilizers, even food packets at the outset were necessary. Although we don't like that model of giving, we don't like handouts. Immediately after the war, it was necessary, absolutely necessary. Since that time, we've developed our programs, but again, to focus on some of the immediate necessities. One of the immediate necessities is housing. Housing for people displaced by the war, who either lost their lands or whose houses were damaged, or housing for wounded soldiers, which brings us to today's topic. There are many heroes of the Artsakh War who have been damaged, wounded, often disabled. Many are first-degree casualties. amputees, burn victims. These people are cared for through pensions from the government. They receive stipends, and they receive rehabilitative support from a healthcare standpoint. But no one deals with their housing issues, and this is something that the Tufenkian Foundation took hold of as its initiative. We have to date provided over 20 houses to wounded soldiers, primarily first-degree casualties, amputees, burn victims, including the subject of today's crowdfunding campaign. David Hovhannisyan suffered severe injuries, including burns to his lower extremities. Many of these people have substandard housing or housing that needs to be retrofitted. Many of them live in socially unstable situations or limited income situations. So we view housing as essential to keep these people tied to the land and to keep these people socially integrated within the fabric of Artsakh society. So this is the subject of today's crowdfund. Last year, as Mher mentioned, I had the opportunity to meet some of the leaders of Portland's Armenian community. I was told about the St. Kevork Church and its active efforts during the 2020 war. One of our Tufenkian Carpets employees, Sona Tatevosyan, is a member of the church, and she told me that the parish worked very energetically during the 2020 war to provide relief assistance. So on one of my trips out to the West Coast, I met Mher and members of his parish council, and we agreed to put together a crowdfunding campaign for David Hovhannisyan, who is one of our wounded warriors in need of upgraded housing. And we launched a crowdfund campaign earlier this fall with the aim of raising $19,000. I believe we're about a quarter of the way there. And we're hoping by the end of the year we'll get close to our goal and finally meet our goal. So this is what we're about in this particular project. It's been a pleasure meeting the Oregon Armenian folk. It is a small community, but I sense that it's a growing community and one that has a lot of energy.
I also can see that there is a organization that will be matching the donations. Is that correct? In the amount of 10,000?
Yeah, the total project is about 29,000, but there is a matching donation of 10,000, so we only need to raise 19,000. And Antranig is very humble. Antranig actually lived in Artsakh for I think 4 years. He still has an apartment there, which he's got somebody staying there. So they're doing quite a bit. A 20-30 minute program isn't enough. And a lot of times, especially being in a community as small as ours, we don't have the resources to put together an organized effort to do these kinds of good works. So that's why the partnership worked so well for us. To be able to do good, they already have all the fundamentals set, how things get done. They've got crews that do the houses. They've got everything's checked, everything's verified, so there's no doubt on how the money is being used. And again, from what I understand, the Tufenkian Foundation is mainly self-funded, so they fund their own projects. So this is an opportunity to do something together, especially for folks that want to help, but individually, there's only so much that an individual can do. Sure. So that's why we all believe in this cause, and hopefully this will be the first of many. Our soldiers, our Armenians, they give a lot. They stay there, they live there, they fight there. Not to sound bad in any way, but we're here very comfortably in the U.S. This is the least we can do, the absolute least we can do for the folks over there that are sacrificing everything.
Absolutely.
Yeah, thanks, Mher. If I can add, certainly this assistance is designed to pay back or say thank you to those who've served and made sacrifices for Artsakh. But I think it's also more than that. It's not just charity. in our view, the most important thing we can do right now is to keep people on the lands. And if we don't keep people on the lands, the game is up. Azerbaijan's ready to move in and perform ethnic cleansing. We need a strong, rooted population that's ready to fight for its lands. And I'm happy to say 85% of Artsakh's pre-war population has returned. But we need to give them the tools to be able to stay and to be able to root themselves on those lands.
I also would like to emphasize the transparency of this mission. And I'm seeing right now, I'm looking at the website of Tufenkian Foundation here. Right on the front page here, there's another example, the home of a wounded Artsakh vet Harut Henrikian renovated, and how the foundation is, reporting what they've done, who the people are. We see the faces, we see the work, which is very, very important in this time. I have to note that throughout the last, year and a half, there is, some disappointment from the diaspora and the people who have been helping. But luckily, and I think this is a blessing, that there are still organizations like Tufenkian Foundation that are, relentless and transparent in their mission, in their work, and that we, the diocese, thinks that organizations and missions like this have to be, supported and brought up to the, so to say, surface, so the larger, society, larger diaspora, larger community, Armenian community can see what these organizations are doing, and we can support you guys.
Yeah, well, if I can comment on that, Vahe.
Sure.
I think we have to be able to walk and chew gum at the same time. I think many of us are disappointed with the outcome of the 2020 war.
Yeah.
Not just disappointed, many of us are alternately depressed or angry at the result, and want to demand a higher level of performance from our authorities. But that's not an excuse for disengagement. We can be disappointed, but remain engaged with the country and continue to support the country. I don't accept those excuses that people make and say, we lost the war. Bidani pancha siga, gareli pancha siga, I'm wiping my hands of this. I don't want to deal with Artsakh anymore. Occasionally you hear that, and I think that is not productive.
Yeah.
As disappointed as we may be, we've got to double down and continue to support. We have to. One other thing I should add, this is a partnership between St. Kevork Armenian Church and the Tufenkian Foundation, but we're happy to note that it's this crowdfund is being done under the umbrella of the Western Diocese. So we're hopeful. First of all, we thank you for this opportunity, Vahe, and hopefully viewers from the diocesan community will get into the act and jump on the crowdfund page and contribute.
That's the goal we pursue with this dialogue, with this conversation, dear Antranig, and we really hope that this show and the involvement of the diocese will have the impact that Tufenkian Foundation and St. Kevork Church are pursuing. I truly appreciate you, both of you guys. You're doing inspirational work. This is a really noble mission, and as Antranig mentioned, we have to give back, not only financially, but we also have to show the gratitude that we have towards the soldiers, towards the people that sacrificed, their health, everything, up to their lives, and this is the minimum. This is the least we can do for these people. Thank you, dear Antranig, for your time and for the presentation of Tufenkian Foundation and the mission you do. Thank you, dear Mher, for all you do at St. Kevork Church, keeping up the name of the Armenians and Armenian community in Portland, Oregon, and being part of this mission again. And I hope to see you guys again. Anytime you have any kind of fundraising, any kind of mission that you are involved with, I would be happy to talk about that and, spread it through the diocesan platforms.
Right, and yes, thank you, guys. Very important that we get the word out. And just a quick, what Antranig was saying, yes, nobody was happy about what happened in the war, but we can never forget that this is a long-term, continuous country, and we need to support it no matter what. Everybody falls down once in a while. We have to support it because it's a continuous mission. It's going to be there long after we're all gone. So we can't just say, "Oh, it didn't go my way, so I'm walking away." And no one individual can do everything. So it is going to have to be everybody together. It is going to have to be everybody can do whatever they can do, whether it's holding somebody's hand, whether it's giving money, whether it's teaching somebody the language, whether it's teaching somebody about our religion, where it came from. So I really appreciate all the work that you guys do, and thank you for taking the time today and being able to talk about this very important mission that we have. And Vaya, again, thank you for having us on.